Right, I could probably do with a proper recording studio or something, couldn't I? Dear. We're in a mess. A very big mess, aren't we? Things are hotting up, and everything that Douglas Murray, if you've ever read, if you haven't read Douglas Murray's The Strange Death of Europe, you'd probably do need to, because everything that he's talked about in there has pretty much coming to pass. I'm afraid. You know, could drink a gallon of tea. Excuse me. Right. We have a problem with the fifth column. By now, you probably would have seen the video I uploaded about demonstrations in Sydney in front of the Opera House. We're now in a situation in the West where Jews feel that they can't safely walk around, let's say, a city centre or a large town without fear of being attacked. 2 Jewish schools have closed because of safety concerns. This is nearly 80 years after the end of the Second World War. How have we come to this? Seriously, how have we come to this? It's one thing to support Palestine, but it's quite another to express support for Hamas, which an awful lot are. They are a proscribed terrorist organisation, and expressing support for them or any other carries a maximum sentence of 14 years. France has taken steps to deport 3 supporters of Hamas that they found, or 3 people they found supporting Hamas in the demonstrations. Multiply that by several tens of thousands, and you'd be looking at a good innings. Seriously, it's that rife in the West, and it'll be the same over here, won't it? Again, are these the militant Methodists? Are they belligerent Baptists? Are they angry Anglicans? Are they antagonistic atheists? No, I don't think so. Are they? Granted, many on the left are taking part in this as an agitation, but I think we know where it lies, don't we? For the most part, sadly, it's a failure of integration. Again, Douglas Murray touches on this. I have got it here somewhere. The strange death of Europe, and I remember speaking about it on a group. I brought it up on the socials group on the Facebook group, and it got slated, and I got slated for even daring to mention it. And no surprise then that group is, as I was being told, is now completely uber woke, and that's basically if you don't have the correct opinions or if you express the incorrect opinions, you're pretty much out. You have to toe a certain line. I'd say the right words, or rather not say the wrong words, and you could see that coming really. And what was it the group organizer said about it? Oh, I think he called it the racist book or something like that. How thin the understanding is. So basically, it's anybody expressing contrary opinion in print like that is a racist, and therefore the ideas are racist. That's the quickest way to shut down any opinion or any contrary, any view contrary to the narrative, isn't it? Just call it racist, and hopefully that covers the person in enough shame that they go away. This is why we are where we are. It's been going on for decades, hasn't it? Institutionalized. So I think it's safe to say that these opinions are coming from a certain demographic, and they're not Methodist, they're not Anglican, they're not atheist, they're not Hindu, they're not Sikh, they're not Buddhist, they're not Baptist. You get the idea. I don't think I need to sort of go into too much detail on that. As we've seen at Batley Grammar School, a teacher is in hiding with his family for fear of his life because he brought in a illustration of Muhammad into the classroom to show children, and that was it. All hell broke loose. Well, we don't have an official blasphemy law in this country. That was repealed some years ago, actually, against Christianity, as it happens. But it is there in the background through peace in action. Rather, you can tell who the police, what laws the police consider to be enforced and not should be enforced. And also, that police essentially make up laws off their own bat, in this case to protect the feelings of a certain demographic. Therefore, because there is no blasphemy law, that means that certain people should pipe down, literally pipe down, such that the teacher shouldn't be in fear of his life, and to enforce it. This is what they do in France. But of course, the police here are completely craven to a certain demographic. And at school in Wakefield, 14-year-old boy with autism, he dropped a certain holy book on his way to school, scuffed it. It just happens. I mean, I got plenty around here, which I managed to drop, put it back on the bookshelf in an odd manner. And of course, all hell broke loose then. His mother had to go to the holy place and appeal the holy people with police present with her to ask them nicely to ask their sort of followers to back off, not to leave her child alone. I stop the death threats and all those little things against a 14-year-old boy. We have a problem of integration, don't we? Rather, it's the lack of integration. And the reason why is because anybody who does attempt to bring up the integration word is seen as an R-ist, racist. I have to be careful, don't I? So we're stymied. All politicians are absolutely stymied by the R word, or rather, they want to be seen to be anti-racist, so therefore, just brush everything under the carpet and just hope it goes away. Well, we've kicked the can as far as we can, haven't we? Up the road completely. So we're stuffed. We're now at the end of the road. We can't kick it any further. We're now at a situation. We're now looking at the effects where people have of effects of not tackling this issue of non-integration, where people live parallel, separate lives, completely outside, say, the cultural norms of this country, and that is that we have no blasphemy law. That is, we allow people like Jews to live and worship in peace, and that they shouldn't feel at fear of being attacked, shouldn't feel fear of being spat at or have shows thrown at them on a bus, which is what happened in London in November last year, wasn't it? 2022, in November last year. Here we are. And we are paying the price for not tackling any of this, sadly. Well, we can't go any further though, can we? Because we now have so many openly supporting Hamas without any fear or repercussion, because they know they can get away with it, because they know that they don't recognise that they live in an integrated society. They feel that those laws don't apply to them. So why should they? Why should they observe anti-terror laws, which designed to keep that Hamas are prescribed. They are as a terrorist organization, and you can't really go around shouting to a death to Jews. It's not just over here, but also across everywhere across the West, and as we've seen in Australia. Yet we have thousands who feel that they can't do so, and also the small issue of how should put it, the grooming of young children. South Yorkshire, the police and social services turn a blind eye. Why do they turn a blind eye? Because for fear of upsetting certain people again. It's a whole thing of upsetting, isn't it? We mustn't upset a certain demographic, and therefore do everything we can to sort of draw a line and just ignore any wrongdoing. Thing is, if you did start to look at just how widespread support for Hamas was, and also the hatred of Jews was, you'd then be looking at deporting, if France has deported 3, they'd be looking at deporting tens of thousands more than that, just on the basis of haven't caught them yet. And it's no different here, no different in Australia, no different anywhere else. But why are such people here? Is it the cultural norm in the UK now? Like spinsters cycling to Evensong across the village green, cream scone with jam, the crack of leather on willow. I see where I'm going with this. Morris dances, steam engine rallies in the summer in country parks. I mean, this is the culture now that we have mobs chanting death to Jews, and buses being blown up in the name of the jihad. Again, nobody's dared to tackle this problem of non-integration in a supposedly multicultural society. This wouldn't happen because all the cultures separate cultures would respect each other. But as we've seen in Leicester, Indian fans were engaged in pitch battle with Pakistan fans of cricket teams, separate cricket team fans of each of the different cricket teams. Yeah, great. All that's happened there is the national enmities of both countries under the guise of cricket rivalry turned out into the battles between those two countries. The descendants from those countries over here, living in this country, decided to import their battle here as well. It's not an English custom to see open warfare between India and Pakistan, is it, on our streets? It's happened. Did anyone vote for this? No. But it's happened anyway. So we need to take a hard look at who we have let in, why, what's happened to integration. Well, that was put into the too difficult bin, wasn't it? A long time ago. As in, really can't be asked. Just hoping to sort itself out. All that's happened is that people live in their own enclaves. What I fear is going to happen in Gaza. Israel won't take any nonsense out of this. They'll decide that the only way out for them is the complete abolition of Hamas. 45% at the last elections, 45% of the electorate voted for Hamas. That's how widespread it is. 45% of the population who voted for Hamas. So they voted to bring out, if you could say, they voted to bring out about their own demise. Well, but the complete elimination of Hamas is going to be the objective. Israel won't fight a half a war. Israel won't go into this hoping that international policing or attempts at community to build community bridges will bring Hamas to their knees, such that Hamas will stop. That their stated aim of the elimination of the state of Israel will go away, and it'll be all sort of a peace and kumbaya. That's not what Hamas will do. Hamas are in this to eliminate Israel off the map by whatever means necessary. So when you're up against that, if your enemy is intent of fighting a complete war, and you're not, your enemy will win. So that is what Israel has realized. Well, realized. So they will go into this to completely wipe out Hamas, and by extension, take out a lot of Gaza. They have no choice, and they will have to do this before the international community gets sufficiently riled up about it, and obviously the body bags. But of course, Hamas, they hide behind the civilians. They put the rockets and all the artillery in civilian places. So if Israel wants to take out these munition dumps and also take out these launch sites, they have to bomb civilian places. There is no other way around it for them, because this is what happened. This is what Hamas do. They use a population as human shields, because they know that as a deterrent against Israel from taking part, as doing anything. So assuming Israel takes them out, what would happen then? Well, it'd get pretty fractious over here for a start, wouldn't it? It's not going to be pretty, to say the least, and certain people over here won't like it either. I have a bad feeling. I have spoken in the past, haven't I, about the very large, distinct possibility of a dictator, shall we say, if we don't elect somebody like Nigel Farage to be able to have somebody with a pair of balls to be able to finally get a grip, then the alternative is going to be even worse. It's going to be much, much worse, like a Nick Griffin Mark II. If we can't get if disturbances break out in certain parts of the large cities up in the north and in the Midlands, as an uprising, what will happen is that a government will have to take a very firm line, and I can't see the Conservatives doing that. Labour, they'll just completely fold, because this is their electorate, remember. So if you want to keep civilization, think of civilization as or rather civil society, certainly in this country, or in the West, anywhere in the West, as a sack of rats fighting each other, where the sack is made out of Hessian squares sewn together with fairly loose thread, and the more the fight inside, the thinner that thread gets, and the sack eventually bursts. The sacking just can't contain what's inside. That's the situation we're in, and it's not going to take much at all to pull this all over the edge. And once that happens, it's pretty much game over. That's roughly where we are, which is why I do worry about what would be the catalyst and what would be the trigger for all this. I have the Spectator here next to me, articles by Douglas Murray and a few others, which had a joke earlier on today with I booked the car in for an MOT for later in the month, and the joke that if we're going to be here by then, and he realised what I was saying, just how quickly things could escalate. But we need to take a grip on the fifth column in this country. I don't particularly care who sees this if they don't like it. We are here because of apathy. Bread and circuses. That's all people seem to care about, rather than the whole everything falling apart quite fast. But bread and circuses. Um, the possibility of a coup, military coup, is at the front of my mind. I just wonder how quickly the government could fall. It won't take much, because these certain communities have no respect for the government, have no respect for much of British ways of life, see themselves living in a parallel society. So no amount of policing will fix that these days. So it's things could get pretty fruity, I'm afraid. Right, I need to think about something else. Finish my tea. It's probably getting a little cold now, isn't it? Thank you. See you around, everyone.